You walk into a room full of strangers. You know nothing about any of them. But within seconds, without a single word exchanged, you already know who you trust. Not a guess, not a feeling, a certainty. And the strange part? You have almost no idea how you got there. This happens to you dozens of times a day. A cashier smiles and you relax. A man in a parking lot glances at you and your chest tightens. A woman at a coffee shop catches your eye and something in you says, "She's safe." You call it instinct. You call it a gut feeling. But the real answer is far stranger than that. Your brain is running a threat assessment program that is approximately 2 million years old. It started long before cities, long before language, long before the concept of a stranger even existed. For most of human history, every new face you encountered was a potential threat. Not metaphorically, literally. You were an animal in a world full of other animals, and some of those animals were other humans who wanted what you had. Food, territory, safety. Your brain evolved one primary job in social situations. Figure out who is going to help you and who is going to hurt you, and do it fast. Because hesitation could mean death. What your brain developed was a social scanning system of extraordinary speed and precision. Neuroscientist Alexander Todorov at Princeton University spent over a decade studying this. In his research, he found that people form trustworthiness judgments from a face in as little as 1/10 of a second. Not a full second. 1/10. Before your conscious mind has processed anything at all, a verdict has already been reached somewhere deeper in your brain. The structure doing most of this work is your amygdala. Two small almond-shaped clusters buried in the center of your brain. The amygdala processes threat signals and emotional data faster than your prefrontal cortex. The part of your brain responsible for logic and reasoning can even be notified. You feel the reaction before you think the thought. Trust, in its earliest form, is not a decision. It is a reflex. But what exactly is your brain reading in those first moments? It is reading faces. Not expressions, not words, not context. Faces. Research by Todorov showed that certain facial structures reliably trigger trust responses in observers, and others reliably trigger threat responses, regardless of culture or upbringing. A face with a slightly upturned mouth and wide-set eyes with higher inner brows gets coded as safe. A face with a heavy brow ridge, downturned mouth, and deep-set eyes gets coded as dangerous. These associations are so automatic, so deeply wired, that people make the same judgments even when shown the faces for just milliseconds and told to ignore their initial impressions. Here is the counterintuitive twist. These signals are almost completely unreliable. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, famous for his research on primate social groups and what became known as Dunbar's number, has argued that human social intuitions evolved in a world where faces were meaningful signals. In small tribal groups of roughly 150 people, you knew everyone. You knew their history. You knew who had lied before and who had kept their word. Your social judgments were calibrated by actual experience over time. When you felt that someone was trustworthy, you were often right because that feeling had been shaped by real data from a real relationship. But you no longer live in that world. You live in a world where you encounter hundreds of faces a day belonging to people you have never met and will never see again. Your amygdala does not know this. It is still pattern matching against an ancient template, comparing strangers to memory traces of faces that helped you or hurt you, looking for structural similarities and firing its verdict before you can stop it. The person who reminds your nervous system of someone safe from your past will get your trust immediately. The person whose face simply has the wrong geometry for no reason related to their actual character will feel threatening before they speak a single word. Psychologist Paul Ekman spent decades cataloging the microexpressions, the tiny involuntary flickers of emotion that cross a face in under a quarter of a second. He discovered that most people cannot consciously read these signals, but something in you responds to them anyway. A flash of contempt around someone's eyes. A fractional tightening at the jaw. A microsecond of disgust that vanishes before the smile returns. You do not see it, but your body does. Your pulse changes. Your posture shifts. And you walk away from the conversation with a vague sense that something was off, though you cannot name what. This is your ancient trust system working exactly as it was designed to work. The problem is that you are using prehistoric hardware in a modern world. The stranger you dismissed in the elevator because something felt wrong might have been the most loyal person you would ever meet. The stranger you handed your wallet to without hesitation, just because their face had the right geometry and their voice hit a familiar frequency, might have cleaned you out. Your brain is not scanning for who people actually are. It is scanning for who they remind you of, and comparing that to a survival template that was built in a world utterly unlike the one you are living in now. So the next time you walk into a room and immediately know who you trust, remember this. That certainty you feel is not wisdom. It is archaeology. It is 2 million years of your ancestors surviving in small groups, compressed into a reflex, firing inside a world those ancestors could never have imagined. You walked into a room full of strangers, and your brain already had opinions about all of them. It always does. The question is whether you decide to believe it.